we deal with waves like all kinds of water. And back to the intuitive realm, water is emotion in the spirit world. It's emotion. And the waves of emotions you're going to have to endure in order to have fun with life and get where you want to go. All right, in today's video, this video is going to have a little bit of law of attraction, a little bit of that law of assumption, a little bit of that whole Neville Goddard secret-ish talk, but I'm going to kind of break it down in a way that, at least from my perspective of applying that stuff since I was in my 20s. I'm Gen X, so you can imagine how old I am. Anyway, so for a long time, more than half my life, I've been doing this, and I got inspired to do this video because I had one of the people I did a reading for. She sent me an email, and of course it's going to be anonymous. I'm not going to say who. It was an email that really kind of pulled on the heartstrings a little, and just made me just have a sense of compassion for people who are really trying to change their lives and really trying to make things better. And I'm not talking about people who just sit on the couch hoping that law of attraction will work for them. This isn't one of those people. Like, she's actually out there working, actually out there studying in school, and she's in nursing school, so it's kind of like I have a little bit of that mother hen coming out. So actually, mama bear applies better to me than mother hen. I could be a little bit abrupt. People know that. But anyway, so law of attraction. Law of attraction, the people that you see on YouTube, the people that you see teaching it, selling courses, etc., a lot of it is, hey, how do I manifest something? How do I get what I want? How do I change my life? Right? Like, nothing wrong with that. Like, that's the whole, like, human condition. We want to improve things. We want things to get better. And we look towards approaches like the law of attraction and The Secret and Neville Goddard and all of those teachings. Hey man, how do I attract my significant other back, or my SP, or my SO, whatever they say these days? It's like, it's all geared towards, like, how do I get something or get someone? And the only reason I bring this up is it's kind of the way, like, the people she's following, that's kind of what they're teaching, right? Like Dr. Joe Dispenza, those meditations, super powerful. I'm not saying I don't do them. What I want to point out, though, is like, a lot of times those teachers will say, like, you're giving your power away if you consult a psychic or an astrologer or anybody in that energetic healing space. You're basically consulting somebody unnecessarily. Like, why would you do that? Why would you get a card reading? You're just getting a mirror to yourself. And that's true. You are getting a mirror. The difference is, when an intuitive reads you, they can see things that you can't see. And it's mainly like they can not only see I know this, well, obviously, this is a psychic type channel, so we can see the invisible. We can see and hear and feel things that are messages for you that you can't see. Okay? That's the bottom line. And I'm not saying that to take your power away. What I'm trying to say is what advantage that gives you is that it provides confirmation for things that you're already thinking. It provides validation for things that you might need validation on. And that's why I like to do my readings cold. Like, if you ask me about something, I want it to be very generic. I don't want your details. I don't look people up on Facebook. I don't do, I don't want to know anything. I want all the information that comes through for you to be clear and clean. And I don't want it clouded by your backstory. So when I just give a reading, I like to sit down, boom, cold. And what that does is if I bring something up that you're already thinking about, that's confirmation. And that's the advantage that you have when you consult somebody with intuitive abilities. So hopefully you see that that's kind of the same thing as when you go consult a coach. If you don't need to consult an astrologer, then you also don't need to consult a coach. It's the same thing. They're doing the same thing, and hopefully the coach that you hire has both skill sets, meaning they're in touch with their intuition and then they can read you, and they're not just giving you some logical linear pathway that they were taught in their coaching school. Okay? Which, I've done that too. So I've taken that route. I've done that educational pathway. So I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying that when it comes to coaching, tarot, oracle cards, any of the intuitive arts, right? They're all helping you see your blind spots. That's what coaching does. It helps you see what you cannot see because you're too involved with yourself. I think they're saying is you can't see the outside of the jar because you're inside the jar, something like that, right? And that's what a good coach does, and that's what a good intuitive does. They can see all of it from the perspective of giving you guidance. So that's what a good reading does. It provides guidance, just like what a good coaching session does. It provides guidance from an outside perspective and provides confirmation, validation. The intuitive energy healers often provide comfort. And the advantage of the energy healers is we're not trained in this logical, linear method that, like, a lot of coaching is very like, if A, then B, then C, then blah, blah. And, there's an advantage when you access that more feminine aspect of that fluidity of being able to tap into things that are in another realm, quite frankly. So on the to be fair, let's just put it that way. To be fair, a lot of the intuitive healers can also get really like airy fairy, and they're not grounded, and there's just a little too much woo, too much woo to know what to do. so it's like, okay, like I've had readings where I'm like, oh my God, that was a lot of talk. There's a lot of talk, but what am I going to do with that? Like, and, and that is like a weakness that if you are in my realm of intuitive healing, that is a weakness. Like we get a little bit too like up in the clouds, a little too ethereal. So I mean, which is why I made that I made that video of applying your intuition to something tangible, something real world, and something practical. And that's why I made this video. I'd probably link it, put the video there or way up there. Anyway, because the whole point isn't to be all intuitive and ethereal that you're no earthly good. It's like get back in touch with your intuition so you know how to live a better life and do things on a practical sense. Like whether that's internal guidance on should I should I apply for that job? Should I accept that job? Should I like this internal guidance, like it's illogical sometimes. It's like okay, for example, I made my first video about like my soul sucking job, and I kind of I kind of have to own that that was a little Debbie Downer, right? And this person's email actually reminded me like, yeah, hold up, Eileen, you got to have some appreciation for that job, even if it's not 100% your calling. There are elements that you can appreciate in it, and when you do, it not only makes the job less miserable, but it actually opens the door for the universe to send you more things to appreciate. And I'm like, oh God, that's right. Thanks for the reminder. So, but back to the story. Like the illogical things where you're like, okay, I was applying for jobs because I'm like, okay, maybe I can get a less toxic job. Maybe I can get a job where I'd be happier, or maybe not have to wake up so early, or, da 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 da. And there were several jobs I applied for and a couple I interviewed for, and I didn't go with one of the, oh, let's put it this way. I didn't get one. One didn't call because they filled it too fast. Well, faster than, my application. The other was, they called yesterday. And I was like, oh, that was a long time ago I applied. But anyway, so imagine, I'm pretty used to getting, like, whatever. I'm used to getting most jobs that I apply for. Like I'm not used to rejection. Let's put it that way. So anyway, point is that in retrospect, I learned more about these positions and talked to people. Like, healthcare is a small world. Like, you hear about things through other people and you're just like, holy cow, thank God I didn't do that, or thank God I didn't go there. They made it sound so great, but now that you're telling me this, I'm like, ugh. And so what's really happened lately is I felt like I've dodged so many bullets just because I'm like trusting in the process. And that's like kind of like the message I want to send to the person who I made this video for, is you have to trust the process. If you don't get something, consider that you dodged a bullet. Like, you possibly dodged a bullet. Even this job this recruiter called me yesterday. She's like telling me about the job, and I thought, from description. It sounded great. But the more she talked about it, it was like, hell no. Like, okay, imagine being on call, having to keep your phone on and answer it from 4:30 p.m. to 7:30 a.m. the next day. You have to keep it on. You have to answer any call that comes through. And guess what they were going to pay for that? Privilege. $20 for the day. And this call was like, is going to be like a 7-day stretch. So you have to do this for 7 days in a row. And allegedly just once every 6 weeks, which we all know people make up exaggerated, oh yeah, you don't have to take call that often. And then once you're in there, they're like, oh yeah, you have to do it like every 4 weeks. Sorry, there's no staff. You know how that goes. So like every month, 7 days, $20 for that day. And then, oh sure, $20 per day. But I was like, are you out of your mind that I'm going to give you access to my phone overnight for $20? Are you crazy? So yeah, I was like, I put the kibosh on that interview, and I'm like, sorry, that's not going to work for me. And I'm just like, what the? Like, people really, oh my God. So anyway, dodged a bullet. I would never want that job. Are you out of your mind? And then I even spoke with, I was texting a guy that I used to work with at my last job. And yeah, we all do that, right? The grass is greener on the other side. And like you leave one place and then you kind of feel like it's, oh my God, it was out of the frying pan into the fire. And now it's worse. And you're like, shit, I should have stayed at that job. And for a while, that's how I was feeling about my old job. Until I was texting my friend last night. Dude, everything that's gone down in that job since I left, I would not want to be at that job right now. So you just have to have faith that whatever step you're taking, even if it doesn't feel right, you are headed in the right direction for you. Mistakes and all, seriously, you gotta trust that. Okay, people. Visualization, meditation, vision boards, mind movies. Been there, done it all, still do it. So, do some things more than others. Now, this is something you don't want to hear. Things will get worse before they get better. And I know there's a bunch of Neville Goddard people out there, law of attraction, secret, you name it. They're like, no, that's not true. Things don't have to get worse before they get better. They can just get better. That's partly true, but in reality, like in the big picture, often things get worse before they get better, because that's just part of the mechanism of when you manifest something. And spiritual teachings, it can go by many different names. It can go by initiation. It can go by, what's another one? Breaking the energetic bonds to the past. It can go, what's another? You get my point. But why? Why does it have to get worse before it gets better? As what Corinne Grillo has an actual podcast about initiation, a very good one. I suggest you listen to it, but let's just put it this way. Anytime you make a bid for more power or more influence, more reach, more impact, in order for you to experience more, you have to become more. You can't get more just by being the same. So for you to go from point A to point B, sometimes it can happen so easily for people. But a lot of times you don't see that they've been doing it for a long time, so it's easy for them. And you're just not there yet, and you're just starting your growth journey. Like, so sure, like, it looked easy for her. Oh, it looked easy. But you also don't see behind the scenes all the blood, sweat, and tears, all the crying, all of the, what have I done with my life? Like, it happens. Even my life, well, obviously, I'm so not perfect. If you know me personally, you know. My convoluted career path has been everywhere. Okay, let me see. Just to give you a hint, but trust the path. Let's just go through it real quick. All right, I was pre-med in college. Grades weren't good enough, so I went to podiatry school instead for grad school. Didn't finish podiatry school. a year and a half later, I just dropped out. Couldn't do it. Although my grades that first year, I was like in the top 5. It's not like I wasn't doing well. Just wasn't my calling. What did I do after that? I waitressed a whole bunch. I became an EMT. I hated that. And then what did I do? Oh, then I was at a Tony Robbins seminar. I started going to Tony Robbins seminars when I was 22. Okay, I did the fire walk. I did that 8-foot fire walk probably a dozen times. I did the 30-foot fire walk, which that's a whole subject for a whole video, but I did that one. So anyway, at that one of the Tony Robbins seminars, he taught trading, because I was reading books on trading, like studying it, but I couldn't pull the trigger. And I was like scared. I was scared. Okay. And that's partly why I'm so like, get out there, do it, because you need that push. I needed that push because I spun my wheels in fear and limitation and lack of belief, because probably like a lot of you out there, I'm like the only entrepreneur in my family. So I'm the weird one. I wouldn't say I'm the black sheep, but I'm the fucking weird one. So I didn't get that support from my parents. Like, there's a lot of Filipino families that are entrepreneurial. Like, that's their thing. Like, that's in their blood. Like, not my parents. So I didn't quite get the support when I had my adventurous ideas. So, okay, back to Tony Robbins. In one of his seminars, he was teaching about financial mastery, and he was teaching trading. It was like literally one of the first events he taught trading. It was the first event he taught trading at. And it was, he was teaching covered calls, which is basically you buy a stock, you sell a call option against it for some monthly income. Not the point. Point is, I learned specific things from him, and this is, okay, just to give you an idea how long ago this was, 1995, you still had to call a broker to place a trade. There was no E-Trade. There was no Options Express. No, I'm naming brokers that aren't even, are they even around anymore? But like, I had to pick up the phone to call a broker to place a trade, which made it even scarier. So anyway, the way that Tony got me over that fear was I signed up for this one, like this like trade alert thing where the brokers that he was working with actually, that was back when they had pagers too. So it was like a paging thing where, oh, Dell announced a stock split, and that was my first trade. I see the page, Dell announced a stock split, and still too scared to do anything about it. The only reason I did something about it was because the broker I had called me. He called me and was like, so Dell announced a stock split, and I suggest we buy the December 110 calls for, I don't know what it was, $5 or something like that. And I was like, okay. So I entered the trade, afraid still, but somebody pushed me to do it. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And I'm not kidding. And now this is not so abnormal. But in like 2.5 weeks, I made 111%, right? So that turned $5,000 into over 10 grand. And as a 25-year-old, you can see why I've been addicted to trading ever since I was in my 20s. As a 25-year-old, I was like, you can make money doing this? So, okay. Anyway, life continues. Long story short, I should never say that because that is so opposite. My youngest sister gave me a name. Remember when Dances with Wolves came out, where it was like Kevin Costner? He was like in the cavalry. Sorry, cavalry. And he met that one white woman that was adopted by the Indians or something like that. And anyway, my sister is like, I'm going to give you your Indian name. And I'm just like, she's like, I'm going to call you Talks with Long Wind. Okay, I talk a lot, people. Why do you think I have a YouTube channel? Okay, so after that trading experience, I kept doing it, but like, when you, and this is part of the whole thing, right? The mechanism of manifestation. You can hit certain peaks, but then you drop. So it's like a bunch of up and down, and you're like, why can't I just get it and keep it? And so I kept doing the trading, trying to make that work. But in the other foreground, I was like, okay, I gotta, let me get a job so I can have some income while this trading thing is starting to work. So I started driving a limo. And then I was with this one company where he was like, if you get your own car, I'll help you form your C corporation and create your whole thing to help you get all like the city limo, whatever, the livery, the whole process of becoming your own limo company. So I started that limo business. You want to know what my corporation's name was? Gotta Go Limo Incorporated. Okay, so anyway, I drove people around like JP Morgan guys. I had a guy in the back seat one day, and he was like, hey, Eileen, guess what I did today? And I was like, yeah, what'd you do today? He's like, I made $1 million. And I'm like, what? Holy cow, congrats. Okay. And this guy was a dude that lived up in Kenilworth, okay? Kenilworth is one of the North Shore suburbs, right? And so I dropped him off. Super happy for the guy. Super cool guy. And and then I'm not kidding, like a week later, well, this fits in well with my story. A week or so later, I pick up the same guy from the airport because I would do like a lot of airport runs, like corporate accounts. You'd bring them from home to the airport, etc., or pick them up from the corporate office, bring them to the airport. And the next time I picked up this guy, he gets in the back seat and he's like, "Guess what I did today?" And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "I lost $1 million." And I'm just like, "Oh, bro." And just to help normalize for anybody who's into manifesting, that's life, man. You like go up and down, up and down, up and down. And I drew a picture of this. I'm gonna post it probably there-ish. I drew a picture of like the ups and downs you go through. Feels like first it feels like you're not doing anything. Nothing's going anywhere. You almost even feel like you're going down. Okay? This one's for you. You know who this video is for. Feels like nothing's happening. But you keep persisting and you keep trusting the process. You keep visualizing. You keep searching for answers. You keep doing this. You keep doing that. No, you don't just sit on your couch and visualize. No, you do visualize. But you got to do the other stuff. And eventually that little plateau that just feels like your life, it starts to ramp up. Okay? But even through that, you're still going to have your ups and downs, ups and downs. But now, instead of just going flat up and down, you're actually starting to go up. Hopefully that's going the right direction. I don't know which way the camera is going to. But eventually, you go from flat line to making some progress. But you're still going to have that up and down, but you're going to be angled upwards. So anyway, what's the point of that? The waves, the ups and downs. You gotta trust through those waves. I'm a kite surfer. That's why I have that. It's my decorative piece. It's a surfboard. I love kite surfing, and I'm not going to go on that tangent, but we deal with waves, like all kinds of water. And back to the intuitive realm, water is emotion in the spirit world. It's emotion. And the waves of emotions you're going to have to endure in order to have fun with life and get where you want to go. Sometimes it's going to be smooth sailing. Water is flat, easy peasy, warm water. And other times the water is going to be freezing. There's going to be waves. There's going to be water trying to pull you under. Or when you're like neck deep, fell off your board, neck deep, oh, here comes a wave. Talk about panic. I mean, does it sound like life? Where, dude, I'm already underwater and I keep getting hit and I keep getting hit and I keep getting hit. Like, when is it ever gonna fucking stop? Like, that's why I love that sport so much. It teaches you that emotional resilience required to have fun in life. You can't do that sport if you don't have the balls to face potential death. Yeah. There's danger in any worthy pursuit. You might fail. I've had so many failures. I haven't even finished my path of craziness. But it's important to stop there and realize there's going to be these waves of success. There's going to be these waves of failure. Life has an intermittency like that. There's the ebb and the flow. There's the success where you're victorious, and then there's the failure where you are beat down. And when you're down in that trough and the wave just keeps coming to hit you, it feels like you're alone. It feels like you're going to die. It feels like if I get back on shore, and I've had moments like this where I've been in danger in the water, and I prayed to God, and I was like, God, if you can just get me back to the shore, I swear to God I'll never do this again. And clearly I'm back at shore, but I never did certain things again that were a little too dangerous. And while I'm speaking about Tony Robbins, he had the perfect quote. He's like, in order to know how far you can go, you have to go too far. And then once you've gone too far, you see that temporary limitation you have. That limitation's only there as far as your skill set in that moment. But once you expand your skill set, I couldn't go out in deep water before. I used to have to only go to places like the Outer Banks. I used to only go where I could, if I fell, I could stand up and the water was like chest deep or lower. I didn't go out to the deep water until I was really good with my kite, and I knew that kite could save me. And I wouldn't go out if I had any question that kite might drop, because I had to know my limits within that current skill set. So to my little nugget that I'm making this video for, you're young. You've got what you've got right now, but it's not going to stay there because you're continually expanding. And you have to accept where you are. Acceptance doesn't mean, well, I'm giving up. No, it is what it is, and I intend for things to get better. That's intelligent acceptance. And you can make it even better by appreciating it, which I really have to thank you, because today I watched one of those law of attraction people on YouTube. I don't really watch them anymore because they are all about, hey, get this, get that, switch timelines. Sorry, no shade, no shade. Point is, when I watched that video today, I was reminded, oh my God, yeah, I've been bitching way too much about my job. I have not been grateful. I have not appreciated things. And, by the grace of God, I still somehow have a horseshoe up my butt. And, so thank you for that, because now I have the intention in motion. I'm already changing my tune about work. Like, I'm feeling so lucky. I actually am, if you can believe that. I'm feeling so lucky that even in a job that's not the way I want to end my life with, like, I don't want to stay here for the rest of my life, but for the purpose that this job is serving right now, I can really say I'm truly grateful. And the way that I've been able to navigate my position in this company is like, it's really otherworldly. It's almost like, how did this happen? Like, it's almost like I had a crystal ball, but it just happened because I just trusted those little breadcrumbs. I was like, oh, let me try this, let me try that, let me think of this, let me think of that. And I just followed the best internal guidance, and I ended up someplace that really puts me at a good advantage right now. So it really was a wake up call to be grateful and appreciate what is, appreciate where I am. And from that place of appreciating, even if it's not your ideal dream job or end destination, even though it's not, I still appreciate it. And from that vibration is just going to attract more for me to appreciate. And that's the beauty of what your email gave me yesterday. So thank you. I hope some of this helped. I had some notes. And that's the thing, okay? I get really invested in the people that I work with, and it's like sometimes I get too attached and I get too like, hey, I want you to do this because this is going to be good for you. And then the second I start hearing excuses, I'm like, oh, whoa. No. Bullshit. Like, and I'll call bullshit right away on people. And sometimes, yeah, I admit, sometimes I don't have the tact that I could have. But it comes from a good intention. It comes from like knowing that fear is the fear that I had to get over to get to where I am today. And no, my life's not perfect. Far from it. But I trust the process and my path. And the people that are a few steps behind me or just wanting to like get some help or encouragement, the best way I know how is to call your ass out when you're being scared. And okay, I'm a work in progress. I'm trying to get better, and I have gotten better. I used to be a CrossFit coach. Let me finish my job trajectory. You might get a kick out of this. People, this is for all the people who feel like they've taken every freaking job and don't know what to do with their lives. Okay, so after the limo company, then I sold cars. How did I get into selling cars? Oh, I was at another Tony Robbins seminar and I met this car salesman. He was a really good car salesman, but he got me into his company selling cars, and it was okay. I wasn't that great at it. But what was cool about it was we would get to drive brand new cars, and I got to drive the luxury. What was it? It was the Volvo S80 Turbo, or I don't know. It was the high-end Volvo. And it put me in this vibration, even though that job didn't pay that great, but because I wasn't good at sales, right? It put me in this vibration of driving luxury. And so I was grateful to that job because it put me in this sense of like, oh, this is what rich people feel like. Like it was fun to like drive and work, kind of dressed up in my little sales suit, and I felt it was like a good vibe to just soak up. So even in the dumbest jobs you ever have, there's always something to appreciate, and there's always something to be grateful for in it. Okay, so after the sales job, boom. Oh my God. Okay, I'm gonna get real embarrassing here. My brother and his wife got pregnant. So I was like, oh, I want to be able to babysit for the, what job can I get so that I can help babysit? I became a bus driver. Because the bus drivers can bring their kids in the, anyway. Yeah, that didn't, but there was something to be grateful for. Hey man, I got a CDL. I was driving the big rigs, man. So I brought my driving confidence which was always pretty good. It brought it up to a whole new level. See that driving motif, right? What else did I do? Oh, so then after that, I was like, dude. Oh, wait, no. Between the car sales job and the bus driving, that's also the reason why I did bus driving. When I was doing the car sales job, I decided to go back to nursing school and just become a nurse, bite the bullet. And for me to be able to work and do nursing school, that was the other reason I took that job, that bus driving job, because I could kind of work it into the class schedule. So that was the other reason why. And then after I became a nurse, I always traded off and on. And long story short, I'm still a nurse. But then I did the CrossFit gym in 2014. Yeah, from 2014 to 2018, a business partner and I opened a CrossFit gym on the north side of Chicago. CrossFit Chisel. Anyway, it's still there. We sold it. And speaking of, we sold it right before the pandemic. Imagine that. I'm telling you, horseshoe up my ass. But anyway, so after the CrossFit gym, that's actually the point of this, I think. The way I encourage people is kind of like that whole personal trainer boot camp vibe. Like, I try to do it in a loving way, but I'm really like, you gotta stop the bullshit, man. You gotta come to class. You gotta do your freaking squats the right way. None of those no reps. You know. Oh, I say this now because after the gym I'm out of shape, but it's because I'm working all the damn time. Anyway, I know, excuses and bullshit. True that. Okay. Now after the CrossFit gym, I know, 3 hours later, I did a coaching program, a women's empowerment coaching program. After that, I did a hypnotherapy certification, and then went back to nursing. But I've always traded. And I just feel like, no matter how convoluted your path is, you just have to trust that your gifts are going to come out the way they're supposed to come out. And you just have to believe that. You have to trust. Keep putting your visions out there. Keep feeling that sense of abundance. And the whole aspect of when you're not getting what you want, when the life is a flat line and you feel like you're just in a plateau of nothing happening, I mean, that's when you have to be very aware of any complaining or feeling sorry for yourself or getting in those conversations where everything's a scam. No, not everything's a scam. Are there scammers out there? Absolutely. At every level. In every niche, there's a scam. In the spirit world, there's a scam. In the coach's world, there's a scam. And I don't think they start out that way. I think they start off trying to help people, but then the greed kicks in and they want to all be 7-figure blah, blah, blahs. And then they're trying to sell like programs that are $25,000 for entry level. Like, run, man, run. If the first price point is 25 grand, run. That's you should graduate up to that. Like, there should be a testing ground. Like, hey, do I even like this? And then you do. So you graduate and then you go to a higher price point. And then, like I've paid for all kinds of price points of stuff. And just be aware, not naming names. But yeah, I know. Talks with long wind. The waves of ups and downs in life. It's like when you're getting bashed by the waves, sometimes you just have to release all the tension in your body and just go with the flow. It doesn't help to fight, right? Those riptides, it doesn't help to fight. You just make yourself tired. Just relax, breathe, grasp for air when you can. But you sometimes just have to go with that and not resist it, because you're going to wear yourself out. Just trust that you're eventually going to make it to calmer waters where you can finally touch ground, and just know you're, little nugget, you're in the shallow right now. Eventually you're going to get deeper and deeper. You got to build your skill set. You got to submit to the process of growth, and this is part of the growth. So light workers, that applies to us too. Okay. All right. I think that is good for today. Holy cow, can she talk?